You know, there's nothing like flipping through the old family album. Oh, look, this was taken right after I put super glue in my sister's lip gloss. Oh, wonderful memories. But you know, people aren't the only people that have families. Vegetables have families too. Take, for instance, the allium family, the Barrymores of the larger Lily clan. This family contains some of the most potent culinary players to ever tread the stage of world cuisine. Ah, here's the big daddy himself, the globe onion. He's big, he's smelly, and he somehow manages to get himself written into just about every recipe on planet Earth, which is unfortunate because if you ask me, he's a little one-dimensional, and he's a real pain in the eye to work with. Oh, here's his pugilistic cousin, the stinking rose himself, garlic. Whose pungent punch manages to knock out just about every ingredient that he comes into contact with.
Yeah, he's down and a bed.
Yeah, I'm getting a little burned out on this one, too. Ah, here's their sister, the shallot. If you've never tasted a shallot, think red onion meets garlic. Very aromatic, very sensual, very popular with the boys in the white hats, if you get my meaning. We'll save her for another show. Now, while these alliums seem to constantly grab the spotlight, one member of the family waits in the wings for his big chance. The quiet, well-mannered allium porum, or leek. Now, if Fred Astaire had been a vegetable, he definitely would have been a leek. For leeks possess a fine, sophisticated, smooth texture and flavor, which isn't afraid to take center stage, but is gracious enough to share the glory with other ingredients. The leek is more versatile than either the onion or garlic, and its long, lean shape makes it easier to work with than any of the bulbs. So stick around, won't you? Because we are going to celebrate the unsung hero of the allium family, the leek, which isn't just in good taste, it's in was revered in ancient Samaria, Egypt, and Assyria, where it was used as a cure for graying hair. There is no written record indicating whether the leeks were to be applied externally or internally. The most commonly held misconception about leeks is that they are the mature version of scallions or green onions. This, of course, is not true. Scallions and green onions are just the immature pre-bulb version of any of a wide variety of bulb onions. Leeks, they are a variety all to themselves, but they do have a lot of common elements with regular old onions. They are constructed of many concentric circles or layers, and these are actually leaves that grow up together. Now, when shopping for these things, avoid bunches. You know, I don't like seeing that, you know, 3 very, very different looking leeks for sale for 79 cents. No, always buy them loose by the pound if you can. That way you can get the same diameter for whatever dish you're working with. I like kind of 1.5 inches wide. That's kind of an ideal shape and size for me. And when you're shopping, always look for a nice tight skin here and good, bright, crisp greens up here. Perfect. Guess I'll have to pay for that one. With the possible exception of spinach, I can't think of any vegetable that comes home from the grocery store with so much dirt on board than leeks. And the problem isn't just on the outside. Matter of fact, the outside's pretty easy. But you got to remember that inside here, all those little layers, as they grow, they push up through the soil and they trap dirt and sand, meaning that this thing's probably dirtier on the inside than it is on the outside. Now, an easy way to deal with that would simply be to cut this up and then throw it in some water to wash it. But the idea of one of my knives going through gritty, nasty sand, it's like... Yes, thing like that. Thank you. Luckily, there is a procedure to get us around this situation. First, we take our rinsed leek and we move onto the cutting board. Step 1, we will remove the root from the bottom of the bulb. We just barely want to take that off. Turn it around and take off the heavy green part. Now, believe it or not, ooh, see how nasty we're talking about? Didn't I warn you? Now, take a close look at the leek itself. You can even see some dirt there. You see how it's not really round on the inside. It is indeed an ellipse. So what we're going to do is line it up so that the knife is looking right down at the corner of that ellipse. We'll split there. We'll move straight into some water and just swish. Yes, I said swish. That's the only word I can think to describe this. So swish it around for a little bit and then just let them float. And the water will make the leaves separate and the sand can drift away to the bottom of the sink. Just make sure you've got enough water so that the sand can get away from the leeks. Once they've soaked for a while and are nice and clean, you can wrap them up in a little paper towel. There'll be just enough moisture to keep them from drying out, which is good. And you can seal them up in a zip-top bag for easy refrigerator storage. Or, if you like, you may take them directly to the out-of-doors and prepare my favorite leek application of all time. Grill braised leeks. That's right. First we're going to grill them and then we are going to braise them. We will begin by cranking up our grill so we've got a nice hot fire on one end or one side depending on your grill and a nice cool end on the other, or at least not as hot. So we will first lube up our leeks with a wee bit of bacon dripping. Leeks and bacon have a very strong affinity for one another. Just a bit of seasoning with kosher salt and then onto the grill. Make sure that you go cut side down. There. Now, what we're looking for, nice clear line marks on that. It'll give a good sear, but not any charring. Now, on my grill, that generally takes about 6 minutes. But if I were you, I'd start checking after about 3 because every grill is different. And now for the braising part of the program. Braising, of course, means to cook over low heat while sealed up in something like aluminum foil. So, take a nice big piece of foil, lay it on the back of your grill where the cooler area is, and just move your leeks over. Some will be more marked than others, and that's okay. Now we're going to add a little more flavor to the program by brushing on some balsamic vinegar. You could also use sherry vinegar if you wanted to. Ah, to heck with the brushing. Let's just drizzle. Now I'm just going to kind of reassemble these guys. Just lay them on top of each other. And remember, this is over the indirect heat, so the heat is not on in that portion of the grill, only up here. I'm going to fold those into a pouch. Just crimp tightly all the way around. There. Now, let this cook. Indirect heat for 10 to 12 minutes or until the leeks are just barely softened. Although grilled braised leeks are excellent with just a few grinds of pepper, you could add a little bacon or maybe some goat cheese or some artichokes or a nice little green salad or maybe some roast chicken. In other words, the sky's the limit. But hey, that's how it is with leeks. Emperor and big-time Looney Tune Nero ate leeks daily because he believed they would protect his fine singing voice. He munched so many he earned the nickname Parophagus, or leek eater. Crazy though he may have been right about the leeks, which were later used in early cough drops. A short-order cook, his name long erased by the ravages of time, accidentally drops some onion slices into a container of batter, probably pancake batter. The clumsy oaf retrieves these coated rings and then walks slowly to the trash. However, passing the fry pot, the cook is suddenly tickled by the notion of a possibility and, perhaps coaxed by the inexorable clockwork of evolution, decides to fry the onions rather than discard them. The problem, of course, moisture. Onions are packed with it, so when they're fried and they sit for a couple of moments, a lot of moisture comes out of the onion, forming a slimy layer between the crisp breading and the onion itself. So when you bite into it, the entire onion slides out like a dead salamander from a hollow stick. Sounds good, doesn't it? This could, of course, have been avoided if that man had simply dropped leeks instead, but he didn't. Here we have 12 ounces of leeks trimmed of their roots and dark greens, and they've been cut into about half-inch wide rounds. And you'll notice that the layers, at least a few of the layers, 2 or 3, are still connected on the inside. This is important because these layers will puff away from each other during frying, and that's going to lead to a crisper, lighter texture. Here in the breading station, we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, approximately 9.5 ounces, mixed with 2 teaspoons of salt and distributed in these 2 fine pans. Here in the middle, 1.5 cups of cold cow's milk and 1 egg. The frying station now has 3 quarts of oil. You can use any vegetable oil, canola oil, safflower oil, or even sunflower oil, peanut oil. All will be fine, unless, of course, you're allergic to peanut oil. Our thermometer here needs to read 375, so we will put the spurs to that. When it comes to successful frying, you want to see three things. Proper prep of workflow, which we've got here. 2, you want to see good temperature control, which we're going to have here. And next, good, proper procedures. Well, you don't think procedures matter? Okay, wise guy, come down here. Now, you see that we've got a standard 3-bay breading station set up here, dry, wet, dry. Now, let's say that you're working over here in the dry station, right? And then you come over here and you work in the wet. And then you shove your hand over here in the dry, and you keep breading back and forth, moving your food through nice and simple like this, right? Through it, and eventually you're going to end up with something that we in the kitchen world like to call club hand. What does club hand look like? Well, club hand looks something like this. And it's mighty hard to work with club hand. Here's some examples. Darn it. As you can see, it's almost impossible to live a normal life with club hand. And all this can be prevented with the correct procedure. And that's what we're going to get into right now. But it'll be a little easier if you come over and watch from this side. Oh, there you are. Let's cook. Now, you notice that I have labeled gloves here. That's because glove 1 will be doing certain jobs, while glove 2 does another. Dry, wet. Here we go. Hand 1 will move a nice big pile of our leek rings into the flour. Just a dusting. If the leek is wet at the end, you might see a little bit more. Now shake off all the excess, again with hand 1, as much as you can get off, and move into the milk-egg combo. Now this is where hand 2 comes into play, making sure that everything is well coated, and then scatter that into the flour. Now, you can just shake this to cover, or you can cheat, which I often do, and break out a fork. Careful not to get wet, staying under the flour. There we go, tossing around a bit. Now, since we've got a dry coat now on those, we can go back to using hand number 1. So I'm going to just lightly scoop those off into the spider. Now, we could just move them straight into the oil, but this is a little bit on the safer side. Now, leeks aren't very big, not as big as onions, so these are going to cook really, really fast. I would check on them after about 30 seconds and pull them after a minute and minute to a half. If they turn dark brown, you won't like them. That's what I'm talking about. Light, crispy, you can see those delicate little layers, almost like puff pastry. And look, Bob, no club hands. And that, my friends, is the power of the gloves. These are very, 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 very good. But, you know, leeks don't have to encroach on the onion's territory to justify their existence. There are dishes that have been invented specifically for them. Take, for instance, the famous yet infamous dish the French call vichyssoise. The year 640 AD, the Welsh win a decisive battle over the Saxons when, at the urging of a monk who would later be known as Saint David, the Welsh army placed leeks in their hats so as to identify each other. And thus was born camouflage. To assemble your very own vichyssoise, just place a large saucepan like this 6-quart model over medium heat and add 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Now, while that melts down, we will turn our attention to 1 pound of split leeks. That's 3 or 4 specimens. They're split just as they were for our grilling. But we won't stop there. We're actually going to lay the knife over and slice this 2 more times into kind of long pie wedge shape, see? And then we will chop. Notice I'm not crying. That's because leeks contain plenty of the sweet flavor elements of both garlic and onion, but few of the sulfur compounds that make onion cutting such a chick flick. Not that there's anything wrong with chick flicks, it's just that, oh, never mind. When you get these all chopped, back to the pot. Leeks go into the pot along with a very heavy pinch of salt, at least a teaspoon's worth. That's going to help to pull moisture out of the leeks. Now, make sure your heat stays medium-low, and after the initial hissing is over, you don't want to hear much more out of this pot. In other words, we want a sweat not a saute. If things are jumping around in there, the leeks are going to brown, and that will not taste good. All we really want to do is to cook out some moisture and soften this material. So keep the heat low, listen, and give them about 20 to 25 minutes. Now that our leeks are nice and soft and a good bit of the moisture has cooked out, we will go with the next layer of vegetation. 14 ounces, that's about 3 Yukon Gold potatoes, just peeled and chopped. That's going to provide not only flavor, but texture. But don't fool yourself. This isn't potato soup. It's a secondary player. We will also add 1 quart, that's 4 cups, 2 pints, vegetable broth. Now, you can make your own, or you can use packaged. If you do, I like to go with the little kind that comes in cartons that's organic. I don't like the canned kind. It's got a cooked flavor, and it's usually too salty. Jack the heat up to medium-high, bring this just to a boil, then back down the heat to a bare simmer. Put the lid on and let it cook for 45 minutes. I know, seems like a long time, but believe me, you will be rewarded with a very, very fine texture. Let's see, grab a potato here. Yep, this soup is done. Now, to puree, we could run this through a food mill, but that would be nasty and would take a lot of time. Or we could run it through our bar blender, but that would be nasty and take a lot of time. Or we could don our protective gear and break out our faithful stick blender. I picked this one up at a local restaurant supply shop. Yeah, baby. That's the sound of 700 watts. Yeah.
Why is it that men always think it comes down to wattage? Don't you realize that when you're evaluating the performance of an electrical appliance, that wattage is but one of the relevant factors? And it's not even that important.
Wrong again, W. Every teenage boy with a car stereo knows. Watts is where it's at.
Wattage is about the amount of electricity a system needs to run, not about the amount of work it can do, nor does it indicate the quality of that work. Got it?
Got what? Watts? Yeah, right here.
Pay attention, Alton.
Okay.
A motor with a higher wattage rating might be able to consume more electricity than one with a lower rating. But that doesn't mean it'll do more work. Okay. Now, let's say, for instance, you attack that pot of soup of yours with a 1,000-watt blender.
There's no such thing as 1,000. W, did you chop this yourself? This is custom work.
Oh, well, you know, I just did in my spare time.
I didn't know you had it in you. All right, stand back. Soup's gonna fly. Okay, what gives?
See, you had 1,000 watts, but lousy torque conversion. All show, no go.
All show, no go. W, why don't we just cut to the part where you give me what I really need?
Oh, fine. Then I can be out of here fast.
Excellent.
Regardless of wattage, the best stick blenders have 2 speeds. Buttons that are easily reachable. You want a long metal shaft and a sturdy blade.
That is pretty stout. Hey, that's pretty quiet.
Insulated casing.
Insulated casing, huh? All right, this is sweet, but what about attachments?
If you take a great blender and just put attachments on it, you're going to end up with a mediocre blender.
All right, well, how about cordless?
Unless it's gas or nuclear powered. No.
Okay. Bye-bye, Miss Happy. Knock next time. Nuclear, huh? Ah, that's another show. Let's puree. Parts of Northumberland, England, come September, many men's clubs hold Leek pageants. Lovely. The competition is fierce, and in the final days before judging, secret plots may be guarded by geezers with shotguns. Before judging, the leek greens are shampooed and the roots are carefully combed. Now that our vegetation is smoothly pureed, thanks to a proper nice and long cooking time, we're going to add our finishing dairy. I like to go with a cup of heavy cream and a cup of buttermilk, but I'm going to add the cream to the buttermilk before introducing them to the pot. That way the heat of the soup won't curdle the buttermilk, and it could happen. Here we go. Now, as soon as that is in, we can go with our final spice, which is going to be 1 teaspoon of white pepper, finely ground. Now, just retrieve my favorite secret soup spoon here. I'm sure that you've probably got one of these in your kitchen, too. You know, in the wintertime, I like my vichyssoise piping hot with a nice little side of leek rings. Get a little smooth and creamy, a little crunchy. It's a nice contrast. In fact, the only thing that can make this better, another innovation. In the summertime, however, I go an incredibly different direction. I like my vichyssoise, or vicious slaw, as I called it as a child, topped with chive and deep, deep chilled. Cheers. Leaky and refreshing. You know, I am not trying to suggest that you should eradicate the rest of the members of the allium family. Onions, garlic, shallots, or even scallions. I'm just asking you to make a little room in your crisper drawer, as well as your heart, for a kinder, gentler member of the allium family. The Leek. Believe me, your family will thank you. See you next time on Good Eats.